My truck, check, make sure it's not leaning to the left or the right, which would indicate low tire pressure, bad suspension, or a shift in my carburetor. And check the top of my vehicle, my clearance lights. They are properly mounted, secured, not bent, broken, or cracked. All nuts and bolts are present tight. They are amber in color and free from any moisture. And check my headlight assembly. They are properly mounted, secured, not bent, broken, or cracked. All nuts and bolts are present tight. They are clear and amber in color. They consist of my low, high beams, my left-right turn signal, and four-way flashers. Oh, there's something else I check the bottom of my truck. Check the bottom of my truck. Make sure there ain't no puddle leaks or low hanging wires. Puddle leaks indicate coolant leakage, oil leakage, or any other kind of fluid leaks. Open up my hood, check my engine compartment. Check my hoses from back to front, top to bottom. They all properly mounted, secured, not bent, broken, or cracked. All nuts and bolts are present tight. My hoses are free from any abrasion, bubbles, or cuts, and they're not leaking. Check my coolant reservoir, cap, and hoses. They're all properly mounted, secured, not bent, broken, or cracked. All nuts and bolts are present and tight. My coolant is at the proper level. My cap is hand tight. My hoses are free from any abrasion, bubbles, or cuts, and they're not leaking. Check my water pump and belt. They are properly mounted and secured, not bent, broken, or cracked. All nuts and bolts are present and tight. My belt is free from any abrasion, bubbles, or cuts, and it's no more than 3/4 of an inch when tugged by hand. Coming around the other side of my window. Oh, I didn't say belt. Check my alternator and my belt. It's properly mounted and secured, not bent, broken, or cracked. All nuts and bolts are present and tight. My alternator is belt driven. My belt is free from any abrasion, bubbles, or cuts. And it's no more than 3/4 of an inch when tugged by hand. Check my oil cap, dipstick, properly mounted, secured, not bent, broken, or cracked. All nuts and bolts are present and tight. My oil cap is hand tight. The way I would check my oil level is to pull out my dipstick, wipe it clean, reinsert it, pull it back out, and make sure my oil level is filled to the proper level. And check my steering reservoir, cap, and hoses, properly mounted, secure, not bent, broken, or cracked. All nuts and bolts are present and tight. My reservoir is filled to the proper level. My hoses are free from any abrasion, bubbles, or cuts, and it's not leaking. My cap is hand tight. Check my air compressor and hoses, properly mounted and secured, not bent, broken, cracked. All nuts and bolts are present and tight. My air compressor is gear driven. My hoses are free from any abrasion, bubbles, or cuts, and it's not leaking. Check my steering linkage and U-joints. They're properly mounted and secured, not bent, broken, or cracked. All nuts and bolts are present and tight. My steering link has no more than 2 inches overall and tugged by hand. U-joints are free from any abrasion, free from trash or debris, and properly greased. Check my gearbox and hoses. They are properly mounted and secure, not bent, broken, or cracked. All nuts and bolts are present and tight. My gearbox is gear driven. My hoses are free from any abrasion, bubbles, or cuts, and they're not leaking. Check my drag length and pitman arm. They are properly mounted and secure, not bent, broken, or cracked. All nuts and bolts are present and tight. They are held together by a castle nut and cotter pin. Check my suspension components, my leaf spring mount, my leaf springs, and my U-bolts. They are properly mounted and secure, not bent, broken, or cracked. All nuts and bolts are present and tight. My leaf springs are free from any scissoring or shifting, and my U-bolts are free from any rust trails or metal shavings that would indicate looseness. Check my brake chamber and hoses, properly mounted. Check my shocks. They are properly mounted and secure, not bent, broken, or cracked. All nuts and bolts are present and tight, and they're not leaking. Check my brake chamber and hoses, properly mounted and secure, not bent, broken, or cracked. All nuts and bolts are present and tight. My hoses are free from any abrasion, bubbles, or cuts, and they're not leaking. Check my brake drum and brake lining. They are properly mounted and secure, not bent, broken, or cracked. All nuts and bolts are present and tight. My brake lining is not worn dangerously thin. This truck is not equipped with push rod and slack adjusters. It has disc brakes. Check my tires. They are properly mounted and secure to rim, not bent, broken, or cracked. All nuts and bolts are present and tight. Have a tire depth of 4 1/32. They're free from any abrasion, bubbles, or cuts, and not leaking. Evenly worn from top to sidewall, and PSI is 110. You can check my rims. They properly mounted and secured, not bent, broken, or cracked. All nuts and bolts are present and tight and free from any illegal welds. Check my lug nuts. They are properly mounted and secured, not bent, broken, or cracked. All nuts and bolts are present and tight. They're free from metal shavings or rust trails that would indicate looseness. Check my hub seal. It is properly mounted and secured, not bent, broken, or cracked. All nuts and bolts are present and tight. It's filled to the proper level, and it's not leaking.